The biggest feature that we will show you is SONICUE Control, an app that previously was called Panel Viewer, SONICUE Panel Viewer, so you had it already in the previous release, but we decided to give it the name SONICUE Control because now it's also available for iOS devices. So let's see, we have our TPC1 touch panel here, and in this example I've created a design for a 3-zone systems, lobby, restaurant, pool, and as you can see the TPC1 is actively already controlling, and I can see in my panel designer already what's going on. So how do I get a design on an iOS device? Let's say the customer is running this on a TPC1 and now they would like to add an iPad to the system. The fastest is, without even building anything new, is just to take what you already have. You take the existing panel and you unmap it, and we take that panel design and map it to the iPad. Writing. So we put the file on the iPad, and as you can see, it's kind of magic. I have that now available on my iPad. So the TPC1 controls the system as before, and you can see it doesn't really matter. You have control over the full system now on the iPad. In addition to the TPC1 that is holding one control panel, which can have multiple pages, of course, you know, if you're controlling several zones, that can be changed. The iOS app also allows to have multiple control panels. So let's say there is another one which controls only the pool area and has different content for somebody who wants to have just that part. All these control panels can be access controlled, so it could be that somebody is using the one and somebody else the other. So in addition to SONICUE Control for iOS, we've also enhanced the functionality in the panel designer, because now as you can have it on iOS devices, you want to do more. So let's just start with a blank new page to show you what's available. So let's say I want to create a new page with some additional controls for the masters of the zones. And what you see is that as soon as you open the panel designer, everything that you pick from the MXE5 DSP block gets highlighted if it's available for a drag and drop for control. So press the magic control button, grab the control, the master of my zone output pool, and drop it onto the workspace of the panel. And what you see is, as soon as I drop it, you see the view meter running. So everything that we do here is in live. Yeah, so we're not creating something and continue later. So let's grab the other zones. So here is my restaurant. Grab the master fader, bring it onto my panel, and let's take the lobby, press the control button, magic fader, bring it up here. And now I can close this, I don't need it anymore. Still looks a little bit awkward, so let's use the common tools for alignment. Fast, let's get them maybe spread a little bit apart. So you see, this is something, there's probably folks out there that are a little bit faster than I am, but you see it's quite nice. Oh, you want them all a little bit wider, just adjust them in multi-selection. Let's place them here. And so as you see it running, we have now 3 master control fader blocks for our zones in less than a minute, and you know already that they're working because you see the metering. Of course, if you want to interact, then you go to the preview, and this will actually now work as on any control device where you transfer this panel. With that, we have also changed not only the drag and drop for the input zones, but as I said, it's everything that you see on your DSP block. So let's assume in our example there are some neighbors that don't like the music, especially at night, and you want to provide a low cut for all your inputs. So it's the same thing. I'm selecting, and you see I'm doing a multi-selection here. I'm selecting all 6 channels that I have, the magic control button, and I bring on the activate button for the high pass filter, and I drag and drop it straight onto my control panel. So right now it just says on off, but first let me show you that it actually works. So I'm switching to the preview mode, okay? And when I'm clicking the button, you see here I'm activating the high pass, and in the block diagram you see, yes, this is happening on all 5 of them. Now, if you say, okay, so you can not only drag and drop a function straight onto the workspace, you can also use any of the meaningful control elements, like here, let's say, let's just take a standard button, yeah, which we can label and modify as we want. Let's call it cut base, you know, to make clear what we are doing here. And it's the same exercise as before. So I'm grabbing this function. You see it actually, the little plus is showing you that this function is now active. And when on the preview, I can check it, and you see this is working, so much more meaningful than the on off. And that works with pretty much all elements, everything that you see on the workspace, with the exception of the speaker processing at the end. You don't want this, but everything, whether it's a delay, whether it's a on-off of an equalizer, everything that you highlight shows up where you see these purple highlighting. These are elements that you can use on your control panel right away. However, that's not only the part for dragging and dropping these controls. We've also changed quite a lot the way how the expression designer, that the part that's underneath making the connection, is working. And if we open that button, you actually see I'm having multiple assignments to this button. So you see, yes, I'm using 5 bypasses at once. So the expression designer allows you to use multiple functions from one control. And what we've also added is an aggregation, where you can say they are all equal or you have a different way. So let me show you an example. Let's say we want an LED that's showing us status if our signal is still good. Yeah. So I bring in the LED, and if I make the connection to the LED, I can say, okay, we have our matrix 1. I want to do something on the status, and I'm interested in the pilot tone for the input because I want to see if signal is still there. Okay, so that's my first entry. So you can just add another one using the ghosting we have up here. I just, don't need to type the whole thing. For number 2, for number 3. And now you can determine, okay, I want to have this LED to show up if any of those has a problem. So I'm using OR. That was the part on the expression designer for panel viewer, but we've also added more functionality. So for the amplifiers, we've added the setup for the load monitoring. So the load monitoring that you already had under Operate was showing you the real-time load value of the amplifier. Now in that flyout, you can set up the minimum and maximum either for all of these channels or individually, and there you also see what the actual load, voltage, current, what it will be. But in addition, we also allow to activate from here a pilot tone, which could be set in its frequency up to 25 kilohertz, and use that to measure the end of line, which is in some applications pretty important to have a permanent supervision of the connected speakers. Also new in SONICUE 1.2.2 is the fact that you can set for the MXE5 and the touch panel not only the DSP setting, but if you go to the network part, you see you can set up the IP address for the control port to static or DHCP. So in some applications where you have to work with predefined IP addresses, now that is possible, and the same for the TPC1, where you can also add and set the IP address. Talking about the TPC1, also part in 1.2.2 is a service tool for the TPC1 where you can connect from your computer everything that is connected to the network. Let's say we're having an update to our viewer app. So you just select all the panels you want to upgrade, you select the application, and here you go. Last but not least, let's go to the main menu, which people usually just do when they open and save a file. Here you see something that's for future upcoming functionality, import from preview. So that will be the ElectroVoice preview prediction software. As soon as there is an export for SONICUE, here's the button to import the file to start a project. Basically, you get all the speakers with their settings in, and you just do the connection to the amplifier and control of the system from here on. Last but not least, let me get to the settings page, which a lot of people might not have seen, but it's very useful because under settings, it's not only your zoom or the size of the display. Here is the button, check for updates. That's a permalink to a website that contains all the latest and greatest firmware for all of our hardware devices that are supported in SONICUE. And you see the speaker databases. SONICUE comes with ElectroVoice and Dynacord speaker database as on default. We've merged them to or moved them up to a version 2. Version 2 indicates this new schema that we need from the speaker databases to work with preview. So if you have already or you haven't installed databases from third-party manufacturers, use this check for update buttons. That is also a permalink to another website where you will see all available speaker settings in the speaker databases for other speakers in addition to EV and Dynacord. So that was it in a nutshell on the most important topics in SONICUE 1.2.2. Thank you very much for watching and see you soon.